Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. I'm reading today for Gemini. Gemini, I've got so many notes for you and I don't think I'm going to say everything because I've got a Gemini moon and to me Gemini is kind of like all the things. It's a very overthinking kind of scramble like marbles brain kind of energy. I found that I was just getting so much information for you and it was kind of like a lot. It was a lot to process. And I think that maybe this is something that you're experiencing, Gemini. It's kind of maybe feeling some sort of like overwhelm. Maybe you've got like too many things to think about. You kind of, it's kind of maybe not even physically like tiring, but it's like mentally exhausting, because you're constantly trying to juggle all these thoughts. So it could be this, there could be a lot happening as well. And it's just like, maybe you're in reaction mode, when you kind of like, rather than being predictive, because you have this thing about predicting up here later in the reading, maybe you're kind of being responsive. So maybe you are, because there's something here, it's like maybe you are like a first responder, or like you work for the emergency services or something like that. It's like or maybe it's even like at work, you're on the call out. So I used to do this at an old job. It was, you had like the key holders and you had a list of priority, like who would get rang if the alarm went off, to go and like check it out. So I was really close to the workplace, so I was kind of like first on the list to like go and respond, which was great because you got something like £50 per call out, right? So a lot of the time it was just the alarm system being faulty. So you'd show up and they'd be like, I'm telling you this kind of story because it might be relevant to you in some sort of way. But it's like you'd show up and you weren't allowed to go in on your own because, like, if the place was being robbed, you can't just go wandering in like a little kind of like 25-year-old girl, like, hi, what's happening? I think I was younger than that actually. Yeah, you'd have to wait for like the town security to arrive. So you'd like meet outside, you'd all go in together. The alarm would A mannequin would have fallen over, or like the alarm was just faulty, right? So it was like always something stupid. But you get 50 quid. And it was a pain, right? If like the alarm went off at like 2 o'clock in the morning, you don't want to get up and like get dressed and head into town. But like I don't know, it was kind of fun. It was kind of exciting. I think it appealed to like my Gemini and Sagittarius placements, that kind of like, oh, something new and interesting is happening. Let's go and find out. It's like exciting. It's like drama, right? So it's like, oh, let's go and do that. So talking about that, I was getting this thing about your need, Gemini, probably, and it depends on your full chart. Again, we're not one sign, we're not one energy. We're kind of like a lot of different placements. We're affected by all the different planets, all 12 houses, at different points in our lives as the kind of planets move around our birth chart. But Geminis normally are, they need excitement and they need intellectual stimulation, right? Easily bored. So I was getting this thing through like intuitively, and it is in your cards, about kind of like home life. And I was thinking about Geminis that I know, and they can be such homebodies. They can be like so kind of like cozy, like family home orientated. And it's surprising, right? Because if you read kind of like the bio of a Gemini, it's always like party animal, social butterfly. But no, like Geminis come with this real kind of like my family really fucking matters to me energy. It's almost Cancerian, right? Cancer's like the next sign. So maybe it's just like Geminis if you're close to the Cancer cusp. But yeah, like I know a lot of Geminis who are like family. Like like Fast and Furious, the meme is like family. But yeah, like, and I was especially getting like children. I don't know, there's something about Sagittarius energy, because right, one of your songs that came through was Tucked by Katy Perry, and she's like dressed as a clown. And I was thinking that's really funny because like Geminis and Sagittarius are kind of like the clowns of the zodiac. And I was kind of getting like, maybe you've got like a Sagittarius friend, maybe you've got like Sagittarius children, and you can have a lot of fun with them, get really childish and playful and silly, and kind of get into that mode, right, like clown mode, and have some fun. So I was kind of picking up on that, and like, yeah, again, like maybe it's a friend, or maybe it's like a child. But it was coming through as well, like Geminis are normally quite good with children. Like you really like to like have fun and be silly and like get that childish side out, kind of like blowing raspberries and stuff, and kind of like making up silly words. And you can have a lot of fun with kids, like maybe your own kids, maybe this is like children in your family. Again, I'm reading for September, so this is something that's coming up for you. So if it's not quite, if you're kind of like, that's not me, I hate kids, it could be like in September you go to I don't know, support your sister's kid's birthday party and you have like a blast on the trampoline with kids, right? It's like unexpected maybe for some of you, but it's what I'm picking up on. But also like if this is like your own family and your own children, it's like you also need intellectual stimulation. You're also an academic, Gemini, right? You need that kind of higher level conversation, like whether it's like conspiracy theories, whether it's something like political, whether it's like nuclear science. You know, Geminis can be one of the smartest signs in the entire zodiac. Like hide it behind the clown like persona, right? But like very, very intellectual. Or you just need like it's like you need to do Wordle or you need to do like a crossword or something. Like you need that intellectual stimulation. So like being around kids kind of like gets out a lot of you kind of like fun childish energy, but you kind of need the mature side as well. So there's definitely something coming through for you with like parent-child relationships or kind of like mothering yourself or like your two different modes, right? Your kind of like fun side and then like your more mature side, kind of like needing to look after yourself or needing to parent yourself is the way it's coming through. Um, so it's coming through for you like because the song Tucked by Katy Perry, it was making me think of films like, you know, like Inside Out, where they've got like the little people who live in the head. And then this really old comic that I used to read that was in the Beano called Numbskulls. And it was like these little, it's like Inside Out before Inside Out was a thing. It's like these little people who lived inside this guy's mind and like, you know, controlled what he was doing. So it's making me think like, I mean, it comes through for you a lot, Gemini, because you're the twins, right? It's like your alters kind of thing, you know, which, you know, alters is obviously like a diagnostic term for people who have BPD, not BPD, sorry, no, DID, dissociative identity disorder. Multiple personalities. I'm sorry, I'm not a psychiatrist. I can't diagnose you guys, but I think it comes through for you a lot because you can be multifaceted, like Libra, right? So you have actually got the diamond is disappeared. Why has it gone off the table? I don't know. Maybe they don't want me to talk about this, but it was coming through for you like. Oh, there's something on it as well. So you have the diamond, which is Libra, right? So Libra always comes through to me with this idea of like the soul being at the center of a diamond, like let me get a like little crystal from the crystal maze. So it's like you know, your soul being at the center of this glass prism and it shines and you can see your true colors, right? And you can look at somebody from different angles and see different personas, you know, like the different ways people will act in different situations. Like each facet is like, this is how you act around your mum, this is how you act around your kids, this is how you act around your friends, you know, but it's not false, right? You can see through it. It's not that anyone's hiding anything. It's not like anyone's wearing a mask. It's just that it's, you know, you like to be appropriate, you have to behave differently in different situations. So it's like you don't want to act like the best pupil in school, right? You don't want to act like the good girl in class when you're out with your friends partying, right? It's like it's not appropriate. So yeah, but like I say, like Libra comes through as like being the white light at the center of a diamond. You are observing. It's funny because it's coming through like you're observing Libra, because I remember in Libra's reading they had kind of like a Gemini energy that was kind of like taking notes on Libra, and I got really like almost defensive about it. I was kind of like, who's this person spying on Libra? Because I'm a Libra. I'm Libra and I'm Gemini, so it's coming through like I'm spying on myself. I've got a Libra sun and Gemini moon, yeah, so it's kind of like, you know, the flip side of my own queen kind of thing. But yeah, I don't know how it is for you, but it's coming through like you're observing the Libra, because it's like you're on the outside of the, like Libra's on the inside of the diamond is the way it's coming through, and you're on the outside like looking in through all these different windows, all these different facets, and trying to see like the center of this person's soul, of this person's essence, something like that. That could be a side message. It's not really in the reading, but on the underlying, it's coming through with your energy, the Wizard of Mercury. It's kind of like the Magician card. The Magician card in the tarot is Mercury energy. Mercury rules both Gemini and Virgo. So I'm just saying that this is you, right? You're the wizard. You're the wizard, Harry. You're the wizard, Gemini. You're a wizard. So it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like, how is it coming through? Because Mercury rules like communication and like I'm hearing conversation, communication and like travel. And you do seem to be traveling. You've got this movement card here. So like manifesting as well, like the wizard can manifest, the wizard can make things happen. So maybe you're manifesting movement, manifesting communication, something like this. Okay, what else do I want to talk about? So again, back to this idea of like being at home. It could be even like home planet, because you have got like Pachamama, which is kind of like an energy that kind of like almost like Mother Nature. She rules the land, the earth. But like I said, I was really picking up on this like home energy. It's almost like you want to be at home, or you want to go home, or you want to create a home, is the way it's coming through. And it's like it's coming through like something that's like comfy, cozy. It's like, I don't know if you want to go somewhere that represents this for you. It's like going back home, or if it's something like you want to create a comfy, cozy home. Maybe you're planning on having children, because it's coming through like this, like companionship and animals and bear spirit healing. Like bears hibernate, right? And companionship animals, it's talking to me about, so again, it's almost like fur family, right? Fur babies, something like this. Again, maybe it's like you want to go, maybe you travel for work, so it's like you can't wait to get home to your fur babies. It's like the fur babies are really healing to you. Something about this, it's like, or it could even be like friends and family, but it's coming through this kind of like, you know, like the warmth. I'm thinking about like when you touch the fur of an animal, right? It's kind of like the people around you or the place represents kind of like warmth. It's like the heartbeat or something like that. There's something, and it heals you, right? It's like it's good for the soul. Yeah, look underneath that as well. I hadn't seen this until now, but underneath the healing bear spirit, it's got family. Again, it's like family. Family means nobody gets left behind. So you're coming through with all this kind of like fur baby family. Take that as you will. Maybe you're a furry. I don't know, not judging. But again, it's kind of like you've really got this kind of, again, I don't know if it's like mothering yourself energy. Mary has been coming through so much in so many readings. It's like reoccurring, not just one Mary, but like all the Marys of the Bible. So I've been getting like Mary on a cross. You know, you go down just like a Bloody Mary. What, a song by FK Twigs as well. It's kind of like Mary Magdalene. Like Capricorn got like the Mother Mary card. Just this Mother and Mary energy keeps coming through. Came through. I did a personal reading for myself last night, and I was thinking, is this for Gemini? Because it felt there was a lot of Gemini energy in it, and your reading's kind of similar. So I'm going to kind of pull in aspects of my own reading again, because I've got a Gemini moon. I feel like what's happening with me could possibly have some overlap with you. Again, I don't know if you're watching for your sun sign, your moon, you know, your rising, your Mercury. Like, I don't know which placement you're watching for, but again, if it's in my reading and I've got a strong Gemini placement, it could be relevant to you. So I'm going to pull some of that in throughout the reading. But yeah, I had the Star Mother energy. How can you mother yourself? And again, she just looks like Mother Mary. It's like she's just everywhere. She's just everywhere for everyone. It's like everybody's mothers, and not even like your own personal mother, because maybe they're on this side, but maybe energetically, like, you know, Zoom calls or something that's kind of here. But it could even be like ancestral mothers. So your mother's mother, your grandmother's grandmother, you know, like ancestral mother energy. But again, it's like, how do you mother yourself? How do you, so it's coming through like, hang on, let me just get like cosmic wound as well, like the divine feminine. It's like the divine mother energy, like the mother of us all sort of thing. Like if God's the father of us all, then Mother Mary's like the mother of us all, something like that. I don't know what your religion is, take it or leave it. What was your other song? Call Mom by Olivia Brien. So I said to Spotify, clarify this whole reading for me. What am I missing? And I wasn't even really missing it. It's kind of here. I was already getting it. It's like going back to the family home, and you've got Call Mom. So Olivia O'Brien. I'm sad in my Porsche. I was happy in my Honda. I just can't afford to be rich any longer because I got so bored, right? I was picking up on board of the stuff I was fond of. I'm crying backstage, but I'm playing the Fonda. Hollywood Hills, but my Hollywood Hills, but got Hollywood friends there for the party, but not there when it ends, right? So like party friends, you know, they're not reliable. Like they're great. Like I'm not saying like party friends don't have value. They absolutely do, because we want to get out, we want to be wild, we want to have fun, we want to laugh, we want to kind of like feed that need that we have, but they're not always the most reliable, right? They're kind of like fair weather friends. So you need the kind of family friends, you know, the kind of like you, me, soulmate kind of people, you know, the people who've got your back. And this might be literal family, but yeah, I don't know. It says Hollywood dreams, but I'm still just a kid, and I would give anything to feel that again. So again, this idea of like parenting yourself, the child and parent relationship, you being both a child and parent, perhaps, whether it's just a parent to yourself, and I would give anything to feel that again. I'm too young to feel like my life's already over, the past so far gone, and the future's much closer. I'd trade all this freedom for the weight off my shoulders. I would, yeah, I would. Mama, can you pick me up? I want to come home. I hate this grown-up stuff. So yeah, I call your mum. Call your mum, Gemini. I don't know what your relationship is with your mother. I don't know whether your mother is alive or in the other astral plane, right? But whatever that means to you, and it doesn't have to be biological mother as well. It could be like, I've got like a work mum. I'm like, I call my friend my work mum because she kind of like gives me emotional support. Like, so it's kind of like whoever you see as like mother energy. Not Lana Del Rey. I don't think she's going to answer your calls, but I don't know what your relationship's like with her. That's a joke because people call Lana Del Rey mother, just in case I have to explain it to anyone. But yeah, so it's like the people who get, right, I don't know if there's something about, I sort of have this feeling, Gemini, like if you're in Hollywood, like having the success, like living your best life, like getting out there, partying, having fun, chasing the dream, it doesn't have to be Hollywood either, right? It's just like whatever success means to you, like you're doing that success thing, but you miss being at home. You miss just kind of like Netflix and chill, like, you know, in your sweatpants, hair tied up, no makeup, in front of the telly, laughing at some kind of like cheesy Saturday night comedy TV show, right? It's kind of like you miss that. You miss you miss the lo-fi vibes. But like when you're there, like, you know, give it a couple of weeks, you're kind of bored of that and you're like missing the dream again. You're missing the Hollywood. Like, so you've got this kind of like, how do you balance out these two needs? So maybe you've been on a bit of a roller coaster recently. Maybe you've been a little bit kind of up and down. Because it's funny how I'm segueing from one thing to another. I am missing stuff, so I might have to just check over my notes at the end of the reading in case there's anything I've missed. So intuitive messages are going to kind of be like spread out through this reading. But yeah, maybe you've been going through some extremes where it's kind of like, oh, I need this now, I'm going to run after that dream. And like, oh, I need this now, I need to go home now. So you've got this kind of like being pulled in multiple directions, or like running from one extreme to another. It's feeling quite Cancerian. So again, I don't know if I'm dealing with somebody who's kind of like Gemini Cancer cusp, because Cancer comes through with this energy of like a roller coaster ride. So for sometimes it comes through like, I want to go out and party with my friends, but I'm overdoing it, and now I need to now I'm going to crash. But it's like an emotional crash for them. So it has a similar feeling. It's like but you don't want the extremes. It's kind of like you're recognizing that this isn't healthy. You're recognizing that this isn't something that's sustainable. So I want to say you've got this energy of kind of like going back to center. So let me show you your first two cards. So the extremes card came through, right? And it's fun. Like extremes are fun, you know, like pushing things to the edge, you know, going a little bit further than you've gone before. It's fun. It is feeding that need that you have. But again, I feel like it's not sustainable. So with this being in the reverse, right, it's kind of like it's getting too hot, it's getting too extreme, it's getting too yeah, it's just coming through as like not sustainable. Or it's like it keeps, you know, kind of like people say about like riding the dragon or chasing the dragon. It's kind of like you need more and more and more, because it's kind of like the baseline of what's normal is changing. So if it makes me think of when I was a teenager. So when I was a teenager, we used to go out. At first, me and my friend, we'd go out every Saturday night, right? We'd go out drinking every Saturday night. And you're a kid, right? You can do it. You can wake up the next day and like go and do, yeah, I don't know, go to the park. But like, yeah, it started like every Saturday night, and then it was kind of like, oh, we're going to go out every Friday night and every Saturday night, right? And then before we knew it, we were going out Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, because we're like, hey, we kind of like the chill vibes on a Thursday. We kind of like hooking up with people and chatting on the Sunday. And it just became like more of the work week was partying than actual, because we're still like studying at this time as well. And you know, we'd be focusing more on the partying than we were on kind of like studying. You know, the balance shifted. So rather than being like going out partying with once a week was the normal, that was the baseline. And if we went out 2 nights, it was kind of like, whoa, you know, it became the norm. Like partying was the norm. And then other things fell aside, right? Other things dropped off. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of like, because the extreme becomes boring, right? The extreme becomes baseline when you're doing it all the time. So it's kind of like you need to be more extreme and more extreme. I don't know. It could also be something about like not attention seeking. It's not like you're attention seeking, Gemini. It's like it's coming through like maybe maybe it's something like your online presence, right? Or something that you do for work where you're trying to get noticed. Again, it's not attention seeking so much as I need to get noticed. Kind of, it's making me think of like when, you know, like Britney Spears and Paris Hilton were kind of like going out partying. And it's like the more, and like Anna Nicole Smith as well, that kind of phase of Hollywood where, you know, the more out there, the more crazy you were, the more media attention you got, which meant you got more kind of engagement, which meant you know, that kind of thing. So things like TikTok as well, you know, it's like, or even like Jackass. Do you remember Jackass? It's like the more extreme you were, the more views you got. So, but it's not healthy and it's not sustainable, right? And then you go too far and then you get like the blowback. So it's something like that. I don't know how it, you know, maybe you're not even aware of it yet because I am reading for I feel like I'm going to say Sagittarius. September, you're reading for I'm reading for September, so it could be something that's building for you, but you're not quite seeing it yet. Either way, it could also be coming through as like dyspora is the way it's coming through. So because it's coming with this, like, look at this kind of like collecting energy, like this really confirmed, because this card came out after these two and it kind of really confirmed what I was seeing here. So it's like collecting, you see all the orbs, they're all like spread out and he's like collecting them in. So it's kind of like with the staff card, it was coming through like everybody come back to center, right? Calling, it's almost like calling everybody back in. So just give me a second, I just want to see what that message was. Hold on. Just a weather report is fine. So it could be talking about your family, right? Maybe your siblings or something like this. Maybe you all kind of went off chasing your own success. It took you to different countries, different cities. So it's kind of like where you used to be like a nucleus, like you and your family, you and your siblings, something like this, you'd be a nucleus. You're now kind of like spread out kind of across a bigger area. So it has that feeling of kind of like calling everybody in, calling everybody home. Or like, you know, when you do go to like a park or something and it's quite big and open and you can really see quite far. It's making me think of like when I used to go on school trips. So you'd go on your school trip and like with your teacher, and well, I was one of the like assistants or like a teaching assistant, right? So it's kind of like you'd have like the parent helpers, you'd have the teacher, you'd have teaching assistants, and kind of like you'd get to the destination and you'd split the whole class of like 30 kids or whatever it is into kind of like smaller groups of like 5, and you'd all go off in these little separate groups. Or you'd get to an area like a play area or a big field and the kids could kind of like run off and explore on their own. So it's kind of like the teacher calling everybody back. Again, it's like everybody back, like 1, 2, 3, eyes on me, everybody come back to center, right? Like regroup energy. So it's like the way I'm seeing it is, and it could be like working from home as well. So if this is work for you, it's kind of like, you know, maybe like during lockdown, like your work had like a work from home program, which meant like maybe, you know, people could get further and further from the workplace. You know, people were like buying homes or renting homes, and it's kind of like we'll go somewhere cheaper. So it's kind of like everyone got further and further out, and this is like a regroup energy. So it's like everybody back to HQ, that kind of thing. So it's like you're receiving the call is the way I'm seeing it. There's something about this fairy, like this little Tinkerbell energy on the success card. It's like she's coming in to kind of like give everybody the message. Like she's like ringing the bell or something to call everybody back to center. So it's like you're receiving the message here is the way I'm seeing it. It's like you were going this way, but you're kind of like getting the message on your phone, or you're getting the letter, the email, maybe even a visit, like she's coming to visit you and say, look, okay, you need to go. Can you see she's pointing? She's like, go in that direction, like that direction. And he's kind of like looking at her like he was going to go that way, but there's this hand here. So it's like he's being turned away, right? He's being like, not this way, you need to go back. Like you need to go back to the middle ground. Like you've got too far out, you're too extreme. So it's kind of like, you know, again, kind of like at the end of like, even like playtime, right, at school, you know, you have sometimes you have kids who are so engaged in what they're doing, or so focused on something that they're doing, they don't hear the bell. So, you know, as a teaching assistant or whatever, you have to kind of like patrol the exterior and kind of like usher all the children back to the center. So it's like you're being ushered back to the center because you got too extreme. But it's like you're really happy to do this. So because it's followed by this movement and speed card, it's kind of like here you are kind of like listening to, or a little bit reluctant perhaps to stop what you were doing. But then it's kind of like running back over. It's like you're actually quite enthusiastic about going back to the center. Maybe like you love the next lesson. I don't know why you're coming through like a child, but it's like maybe you're like, or maybe you're kind of like, wait, well, hang on, we're going home or we're going back to the office. It's kind of like you're actually really excited to get this news, to get this call. And it definitely could be like moving cities, right? It's like, or like here's the epicenter and you're like all the way out on the outskirts. It's like you're going back where, whatever that means, whether it's like you're going back home, and home can mean different things, right? Again, home could be like HQ, like the office that you used to work in. So it's different ways. But again, it's kind of like this collecting everybody back up, right? It's kind of like collecting regathering the resources or regathering the people back together because it's so extreme. I'm getting a really hot back of my right hand again. This was happening it's happened in like 3 readings now. Because I want to say whatever's on the horizon, it's got you really excited. It's like she's got her hand up. She's like, I'm ready. Hey, yeah, kind of thing. It's like I don't know. It's kind of like whatever you're approaching, whatever's on the horizon, it's like it's coming into form now. You're really excited about it. So there is something about picking people up. I want to say maybe it's like picking people up on the way. Because like here she's got this little boat, right? It's like here's the boat. The boat means success. Right, I don't know what this is. Success in building, and the ship. Maybe it's the ship, so it could be like some sort of work project. But it's like everybody's being gathered. It's like everybody's being picked up, and they're going back on the ship. Is the way it's coming through. So it's like people are going back on the project, or people are going back to like the mothership if this is like home for you. But it could be like carpooling as well. It's like picking people up on the way back because the eagle's kind of like. It's kind of like this picking up and dropping off energy. So it's like maybe you're being picked up and dropped off. You know, you're somebody's like, get in the car, get in the car. It's funny. It's making me think of. I don't know if this is relevant at all, but I'm going to say it. So I went out to a friend's wedding reception, and one of the girls that we were with, she kind of fell over on the dance floor, but she kind of fell on her back with her legs up. And me and the bride, we saw the opportunity. It's like we had the same brain for a moment. We had the exact same thought. So this poor person, they got back up, but me and the other person, we were screaming at them like drill sergeants. Like it was comedy, but we were like, get back down. Like get back down, get, and we're both doing this, like the pair of us, like either side, like get back down, get on the floor, get on the floor, get on the floor, like this. So they got on the floor, and we both grabbed a leg and started spinning. But I was like, that's not gonna work. We're gonna trip over each other. So I gave the other person like both legs. I was like, spin. But it's just like the humor of kind of like both screaming and this person like drill sergeants, get on the ground. I don't know why that's come in. It's like, get in the car. It's like, get in the car, bitch, we're going shopping. Like, you know, like, get in the car, bitch, we're going back to the mothership. So yeah, but I'm seeing like this is you, like you're the eagle, right? It's like the eagle has landed, like Gemini is back home, Gemini is back in the office, something like that. It's like the eagle's landed. There could be something significant about listening to music. It's kind of like in the car ride, you're all listening to music, like maybe really excited, right? Maybe all singing the same song, kind of all getting really hyped up about going to that place together. Now, there's something about the mystical shaman, because can you see how similar he looks to the eagle? He's even got like this little eagle beak, and then this like projection. So I don't know if this is like somebody seeing you. It's almost like seeing you arrive, like they've been waiting for you, like they've been waiting for you to land, or if it's something to do with, because it always looks like a projection to me, right? It's like he's projecting himself. So it could be something like this person can't be at the office. This person can't. They can't travel, right? The flight was cancelled, or you know, maybe they just physically can't travel. So this person's going to be like on a Zoom call. It's like they're going to be there, but they're not going to be there physically they're going to be there, like as a projection. So do you see how it's like a Zoom call, or it's like they're going to watch the footage. They're going to see the, they're going to watch the tape of whatever happened, something like that. But it's like they're there, but they're not physically there. Okay, then we get into this weird area here with this life breath and lower world and protection. So again, tapping into my own reading a little bit and tapping into some stuff that, because you've got foresight and Sybil as well, it's like now I talk about my intuitive messages. Now I talk about the things that I've been seeing and making notes on. So do you remember how I was saying about like the base level, like the baseline? It's kind of like the baseline's gone too extreme or something like that. So I had this dream where I was on a canal boat. It's funny you've got the boat, right? I was on a canal boat, and if you've ever been through like a lock system, so a lock system, because canals are man-made, you have these steps, which are where the locks are. So you'll have like the land will be this high, and you'll be going onto a section of land that's this high. But you can't just have a waterfall, right? You can't just have the water flowing like in a river, because you need to maintain the water level. So the locks kind of create a barrier to keep, almost like a dam, to keep the water at the right level. And they have like an overflow and things like this to let the right amount of water through. And you can open the kind of like little grates. So water can flow through, but it's controlled. So if you go through a canal lock, and sometimes they can be like 10 locks all in a row, to like a step system to kind of like get you up these steps. Water as well is symbolic of kind of either emotions or consciousness. So just to kind of throw that out there. So if you've ever been through a lock system, and say you want to go up a level of water, you approach the lock, and you have to get the water to the right level first. So if you're going in, you need to get the water that's inside the lock itself, like to the same level as you. And then you put your canal boat in, right? So you have to like close all the gates to stop the water coming through, so that everything's kind of like balanced at this level. So you go in, and it's kind of like this well. So it's funny because you have this like rock bottom card here, right? Which again is like, maybe you've hit some kind of low with your extremes. Maybe you've hit an extreme and you're like, I can't keep doing this, right? I'm getting physically exhausted. This is my rock bottom. This is as far as I can go. This is as far down this path that I can go, is the way it could be coming through. But this is what I'm saying. It's like, you can go up a level, is the way it's coming through. So but don't be extreme with it. So yeah, this is looking to me like the lock system, right? So you go in, it's kind of like it's kind of a bit claustrophobic. You've got like the walls next to you and like the gate on either side, and you're at the lowest point. And then so what happens is you kind of like shut the other gate, and you kind of like shut all the kind of little like there's like mini gates in the big gate, so you shut everything up to stop the water escaping. So on this side, so it's like everything's sealed up on that side, and the water's here. And then you have to get off your boat. Or like normally somebody gets off first, and like then you go and open all the taps, right? You open all the holes in the gate, and the water starts pouring through. And then as the water pours through, like the water level rises like this gradually, and then it'll match. Like eventually the water will balance out. So you've gone in like this on this level of water, you like closed everything off on that side, opened the gates on this side, and like you go up like this. I don't know why I'm explaining it like this. I hope it's not too boring. And then you can open the gate, right, and you can go out. So I had this dream where I was kind of like in a canal, but it was like the water was like, it was almost like there was no water in the canal. I was like really low down, and the walls were really high. There's something else going on that was kind of like a prison visit or a prison escape, if that's relevant at all. But it's kind of like, sometimes like in dreams you have like side quests. But then I was kind of like back on the canal boat, and we turned the water on. It wasn't like this was something that was happening to us. We turned the water on, and the water level started rising, but it rose too far, and it came up out of, like, I remember seeing like the sides of the canal, right, the edges of the canal, and the water kind of continued rising like this. So it didn't even spill out the sides. It kind of rose and rose and rose and rose, kind of like if you're doing like a tower of Jenga, it's kind of like eventually it's going to fall. So it's almost like the water tension in a way, or it's like jelly or something. It was like the water tension was keeping it vertical to a certain point, and we went up about 3 stories high before it all fell apart, and the canal boat kind of like tipped in. And so I fell off the boat and I sank right to almost like the rock bottom, right? So this could be symbolic of, I feel like I need to talk about it in your reading because it's kind of here. You'll understand why eventually. So it's kind of like I hit rock bottom, right? I was like really, I felt like the 3 stories of like above the canal, I went all the way down that kind of water shaft, all the way down like 2 or 3 levels, like if we're talking like stories high, to the bottom of this canal bed. And I was disorientated, right? Because it was scary. It's kind of like being on the Titanic as it goes down. It's kind of very disorientating. But somehow I managed to right myself and like work my way back up to back to the surface. But the person that I was on the boat with, I couldn't see them. So symbolically, what this is talking about is so it's like not everybody can be on the same vibration. Not everybody can survive something, or not everybody can resurface from a situation. And I want to say it's something emotional, and it could definitely be talking about addiction, because you've got this extreme card here. So sometimes it doesn't have to be that. I'm going to give different alternatives, so just take what resonates, leave what doesn't. But again, dream interpretation is a very personal thing, right? So it's not going to mean the same thing to me as it does to you. So it could be talking about, because it's like water, it's like emotions and consciousness and overwhelm, right? And rock bottom. So it's kind of like when you get to an extreme, an emotional extreme, or perhaps again something that you're doing that's very extreme, and you hit that rock bottom, it's like not everybody, some people drown, right? Some people don't get out of that, but some people have maybe like a fighter spirit. Some people just, and it was like, it did feel kind of like almost like I was divinely chosen in a way, because it's like how on earth, how I righted myself, how I got myself the right way up and made it to the surface. It felt like a miracle in the dream. It was like, wow, I really had divine support there, kind of thing. So it's kind of like I felt like the chosen one or something. So it was like, you know, some people do make it out of those extremes. Some people do resurface. Some people do raise the vibration. And so the reason why I'm talking about this raising of the vibration is because you've got the lower world card here. You've actually got the lower lower world here, and then under Pachamama. So maybe it's kind of like a mother spirit, kind of like looking after you. So it's almost like, if this is kind of underwater, right, the lower world, maybe it's kind of like consciousness or something like that. Whatever this place is, the lower world, it's kind of like the mother energy is forming this protective bubble around you, and if the bubble will rise, right? So there's something about that back to, it's like the baseline is moving back to the middle ground again here, with like the middle ground. So I'm sorry, it's hard to explain. I hope it's making sense to you. And it's like, and then like this resurfacing, right? It's kind of like coming back to the surface. You know, like, have you ever like gone to the bottom of a swimming pool in the deep section and like kicked off the ground, and like, or like, you're going back to the surface, but you're kind of running out of breath. It's like you need to take the breath, and it's like your lungs are burning, and then finally you get to, you kind of like a dolphin. It's kind of like you break the surface, and you're like, you know, it's like that. Especially with all this kind of like, you know, this imagery of like hitting the rock bottom, hitting the bottom of the, hitting an emotional low, something like that, an emotional low. But then like this protective mother energy, and it could even be your own mothering instincts, or your own, you know, your kind of like Gemini cricket on your shoulder, like your voice of reason, your voice of, your mature voice, right? You've got the chaos little Loki demon on one shoulder, and you've got this kind of like mature kind of voice of reason on the other, because you're the twins, right? You're both. So it's kind of like, you know, the little consciousness, the little Gemini cricket comes in and says, hey, maybe you need to kind of get back up and take a breath here, something like that. So because it's protective, and it is coming through for you as a protective spirit energy. So hang on, I might just need to go to my notes a second. So my own personal reading, again, going back to kind of like the numbskulls and the inside out, it's like these little men or these little people, or like a little mum who lives inside your head, right? And again, it could just be the voice of reason inside your own head, but it was coming through for some reason as literally having someone inside your head. And the weirdest thing happened to me last night. I've never had it before. I get little psychic messages, you know, like I was saying, like the back of my hand was burning. Sometimes I get physical things. So when I first started opening up psychically, I remember telling a girl in work, I was like, it's like I've got a ghost who scratches my head at night. It's like a mother, but it's like creepy. It's because above my right ear, I would get this kind of like scratching feeling, and it was when I was going through my awakening process and when my kind of psychic powers were triggering. And I was like, it's like I have this demon that comes in and kind of like strokes me behind my ear as I'm falling asleep. But and it was kind of creepy, but it was also, I can't explain it. And so I haven't had that actually for a lot. I get when my crown chakra is opening up, when I know that I'm getting psychic downloads, I do get this like weird tingling sensation on my head, but I'm kind of used to it now. But last night I was laid down and I kept on getting messages for you, and I had to keep on like waking up and writing something down and going back to sleep. And then I had this, like, my left ear was on my pillow, and just above my left ear, it was like something was knocking on the inside, is the only way I can explain it. It was the weirdest sensation. And it's like, I don't know, your reading and your energy is making me feel like I'm going mad, which if anyone's gonna be accused of going mad, it's Gemini, right? And I'm not. I'm perfectly sane and capable and reasonable, and yet I had this like woodpecker inside my head, like above my left ear. Strangest thing. So I do think like it's coming through with messages, because again, one of your songs, Gemini, was I've got you tucked away inside my head and I can want you anytime I need you, baby, right? I know where to find you. You're tucked inside my head. So it could be talking about maybe a fantasy you have of somebody, right? It's like, you know, when people say you live rent-free in my mind, kind of like this person's like, they live rent-free inside your head. But it's coming through weirdly. I think it's just a metaphor. But it's almost like, maybe like for some of you it could be like an altar, you know, it's like your little alter ego, your little like inner parent or something like that, who steps forward to protect you when they need to. So it's kind of like instinct, or like spirit guides or something like that. It's like the memory. The way I want to read it, Gemini, which feels the most grounded, is like your memory of a person, right? Your memory of the advice that they gave you, your memory of the way that they behaved. So again, it could be like a mother, a grandmother, you know, somebody who's kind of like older and wise, a big sister. It's like somebody who's older and wiser, and it's like, what would Mary do? Kind of thing. It's like, what would mom do? What would Mary do? What would big sister do in this moment? And it's like that little voice inside your head is almost like their spirit kind of going, right, come on, like don't go to extremes, come back to center ground, right? Raise your vibration. Like this is like, so it's coming through like, and again, I talk about Carl Jung and the persona and the anima, or the animus quite often, or the shadow, and the idea of the shadow protecting us. It's like it steps forward when it needs to. So this can sometimes be like things that are socially unacceptable, but in the right set of circumstances, if you need to protect yourself, you do something that's not normally socially acceptable, right? Normally it's kind of like, I'm going to push that intrusive thought to the back of my mind. But it's like sometimes instinct takes over. Like if you've got to defend yourself, if you've got to act quickly in an emergency, like the panther within takes over. So I want to say the panther within, like the mother within, is protecting you. Like I say, it's like they're forming this protective bubble around you, so that you're almost naturally gonna resurface. You're naturally gonna have buoyancy when the lower world energy steps in. And it's the lower world that is actually protecting you, because the lower world represents kind of like so kind of like underworld energy, or the lower version of the self. So a lot of the time, this is formed in times of distress or times of danger or times of hardship, because it's kind of like survival, right? It teaches you survival skills. So I don't know. I hope that's kind of making some sort of sense. But I'm seeing you, like I say, if your vibrations hit rock bottom, if you've been going through some kind of extreme, whether it's just something that's happened that's caused you to be in emotional overload, right? And I'm not saying you've made bad choices. Sometimes life happens and you can hit rock bottom, and you can feel that kind of like compression of too much emotional weight. But again, it's like you've got this either higher self, like your own internal mother, or literally a protective spirit, and it's like you are resurfacing, right? You will live again, Gemini. So this life breath card, it was coming through with this. I don't know if this is a meditation technique that you want to try, and it's something that I was doing myself. I had a bit of a, it's actually, I feel like it's clearing now, but I had a bit of a cold on my chest, when you get a bit Qatari and you have to like kind of cough it up. I'm sorry, it's gross, but it is relevant because it's here in your reading. So it's talking about the environment, right? So perhaps being in a toxic environment, like you've been in a toxic environment. Maybe it's kind of like, the club you've been hanging out with, the people that you've been interacting with, these kind of like false friends. Like this is the lower world, right? This is the toxic environment that's kind of, it's like it's affecting your lungs. So it's almost as though like my grandparents used to smoke, and they used to smoke like I feel like they smoked like 60 a day. It was like chain smoking, the pair of them. And so the house had this constant fogging, and I lived in a pub as well before the smoking ban. So again, it's like this constant toxic fog of the nicotine and the tar and the chemicals that were in the air. And I had asthma as well, so that was a really stifling environment for me. So it's coming through literally like that. But again, it could be, people who are bad for you, people who, you try and give up smoking, but you hang out with these people, you have a couple of drinks, and the next thing you know, you're vaping. It's something like that. It's like it's bad for your lungs. Or it could be like a physical place. What are you doing, Cat? Cat's trying to get in the cupboard. What are you doing? Why? He talks to me, sings at me. Yeah, do you want to come and sit on the window ledge? Do you want to come and sit on the reading? Put your bum on the cards? No? Okay. You do you then, but maybe don't go in the cupboard. Okay, so yeah, it's talking like a toxic environment. So it could be talking about a toxic workplace, maybe even a toxic home life. I'm feeling more it's like for you, Gemini, I think for most of you, it's like some kind of like lifestyle you've been living, right? Some kind of dream of success that you've been chasing, but it's took you into like dangerous territory, right? It's took you into a toxic environment. Like not everybody has your own best interest. Come here. Well, come say hi to Gemini. Hi. Hello, baby. You want to come up? I'm just going to move your reading across so he's got room to sit. I know I could pause, guys, but some of you cat people, you'll get it. Come on. Come up here. Come on. Up you come. There you go. Go there. Go say hi. I'll pull the curtain across. You can look out the window. There you go. So again, like, touch your fur friends, like, there's fur all over the reading, guys. Oh, and so he sits on the cards that I'm trying to talk about. Okay. But he does protect me. And I think even my cat is kind of like, yeah, of course he sits on the cards. I create space for him. He sits on the cards. But even my fur baby, like I was thinking this morning, he likes to go to the toilet with me in the morning, and he checks out the room before I go in. And then I sit there and he kind of protects my feet like a little guard dog. He's like, no, I'm going to make sure your feet are safe while you're on the toilet. And yeah. And then he's like, sorry, guys. Put up with him. It's fine. Fur parents will understand. So then it's like, and then when I kind of like, I'm starting to finish off, he'll kind of move towards the door and he'll like look outside the door, like he's like, is it safe? Is it safe for us to leave? So he's like my little guard cat. He's funny. So again, like this idea of like the protection, right? The panther protecting us. But yeah. So back to the life breath card. So it's like you need to clear your lungs. I literally did, right? I literally had like a chest infection. Like the catarrh was trying to like clear, like it was trying to protect me. Stop it. What are you doing? It was trying to protect me. It was trying like, the catarrh's there to, the phlegm, right? The catarrh is there to protect our lungs, right? To get the toxins out. So I was doing this exercise and they were showing me like a sponge as well. So The way it was coming through was, what I want you to do, Gemini, is find somewhere where the air's clear, right? Whether it's like your garden, whether you need to go to a park, whether it's like, you know, back home, perhaps like the air's clearer. Perhaps if you've been like living in a city, especially, you know, like there's too much like exhaust fumes in the air, something like that. Maybe you're exhausted, right? Maybe you're exhausted because of the extremes. It could be that. So it's just absolutely mental. Absolutely. What are you doing? What are you doing to this card? You're just going to eat it? Okay. So yeah, it's what you did was this exercise where if you do meditation exercises or breathing exercises, maybe you've got like anxiety or something, you'll be more familiar with these. So the idea of breathing in to a count of something like 8, 10, whatever count works for you. Let's say 8, breathing into the count of 8, holding your breath for a second, and then breathing out to the count of 8, breathing into the count of 8, breathing out to the count of 8, but like having that moment of pause in between. Are you going again? All right, bye mate, thanks for the visit. Look at the state of this. So let me just readjust again, guys. Sorry, okay, I can't really see when I have it up that high. I need to bring it closer. So yeah, it's something about getting high. Because I got high, because I got high, because I got high. Yeah, so the way it's coming through is it's like the heart's breathing as well. It's like your heart needs to breathe. But imagine that you're a sponge. Imagine your body is a sponge, like a big squidgy SpongeBob SquarePants kind of sponge. And imagine that you are full of dirty water, like dirty, polluted canal water, right? Like you've been cleaning the floors, your sponge is full of toxins, right? It's like you've been drinking too much. It's like you need to sweat this out, right? It's like your body is full of toxins. So you're this like sponge that's full of dirty water, and when you need to clean a sponge, what you do is like you squeeze it out, right? You squeeze out all that dirty water, all that muck, all those toxins, squeeze it out, and then you put the sponge in fresh clean water. So and then you rinse and repeat, right? So you squeeze it out, you put it back into the clean water, squeeze it out, put it back into the clean water, and again eventually the sponge gets cleaner and cleaner and cleaner, especially if you're using like running water, like running fresh, clean, sparkling mineral water, right? It's like full of goodness. So what I want you to do, maybe at the end of the reading, I'm not necessarily going to do it now because I'm not a meditation leader, but when you breathe out, so you're breathing out to the count of 8, compress your whole body, right? Like imagine like your body is being like crushed, like you are the sponge being squeezed, and imagine all this dirty water kind of like running out of you, all the toxins, all the, even if it's like toxic energy, you know, like the people around you who are like, you know, they leave you with that like sticky ooh feeling. Squeeze it out, rinse it out. Okay, so breathe out, compress, squeeze out that black energy. Imagine black energy, like black smoke coming out of you, and then pause for a second, focus on the imagery and the idea of like fresh, clean running, like mountain water, like mountain spring water, like running through a stream. It's glistening in the sunlight, it's full of like good, healthy, nutritious, like I don't know, like minerals. It's like really good. And imagine you're this sponge and you're being plunged into this fresh, clean water, and soak it all up. Breathe in for the count of 8, soak in that good energy, and then hold it. Like search your body, find out what still feels toxic. So for me, it was like finding this hard phlegmy feeling inside my own lungs. Focus on that. Breathe out for the count of 8, right? Imagine that those toxins again being rinsed out of your body as you squeeze out yourself. You're the sponge, like make your body tight, right? Breathe in, take up space, take in the fresh mineral water. So it's just a meditation exercise that you might want to try. But I woke up and my chest feels so much clearer. So I don't know if this is something you want to do. And again, it's like bring yourself back to life. So again, it could just be something like, you know, I did go out partying with my friends. I drank more than I would normally drink because it's like I know my limits, and I went a little bit past my limit, not too far past my limits, but enough to make me feel not great the next day. And it's kind of like I had to bring myself back to life the next day, right, after kind of being a little bit extreme. And like getting healthy again, like maybe drinking green tea, I don't know, having a hot bath, sweating it out. It's kind of like detox energy. What are you doing? You absolute nutter. Right, he's determined. What? He's in scatty mode. You know when cats go into scatty mode. So yeah, this again was really confirmed to me by this Sybil energy. It's like the black crows are you expelling negative energy. So you could even feel like you've got like negative spirits hanging around you. It's like maybe you've picked up you know, something that's vibrationally toxic. So again, it's kind of like the way I'm seeing it is like she's breathing out, and it's like as she expels the dirty water, like as she expels the air, as she breathes out, it's like she's expelling all these kind of like little demons, right? She's expelling those things. But it is the Sybil energy, and it is foresight. So it's I want to say that the shadow energy is not bad. This is where we have to rethink, because again, in my own personal reading, I was like, oh my god, I have some kind of like fucking succubus on myself. I've got some kind of like evil twin energy like trying to take over my body, and it wasn't that at all, right? It was that this energy is helping us, it's protecting us. For me, it was like it was showing me the route, it was showing me the path. But it feels like it's dark, right? It feels like it's coming from this lower world, and it's the panther spirit. And again, it's because this part of our subconscious, this part of ourselves, and sometimes we might want to kind of anthropomorphize it as a malevolent energy. It knows that landscape, right? It can navigate that landscape safely because it's familiar with it. So it's coming through to protect you as you navigate a toxic situation, right? It's there when you need it, kind of thing. But at the same time, what on earth are you doing? He gets acting weird, guys. Okay, I'm going to be done with this reading soon, and we're going to do some detox exercises because it's making you scatty. It's making you weird. He's climbing up on something he shouldn't, so he's probably going to just, there we go, he jumped down. But again, it's like the foresight. It's whatever this shadow is for you, you don't want it to hang around because it's come from the underworld, right? It carries that plutonic energy. It's going to make you sick, right? You don't want it in your aura all the time. But if it's coming to you, it's coming to you with protection energy, like with a warning, with some kind of foresight so that you can navigate a sticky situation. But like I say, you do have to energetically push it back out again. You know, you don't want it to attach. It can come in with a message, but you don't want it to attach to you. This is the way it's coming through, because it's toxic to you. It's kind of like if you always eat rotten fruit, right? It's not going to be good for you. So then you've got the light and the sun, right? With nourishment. So there's something about, like, this is coming through like instinct, right? Subconscious. It's like a subconscious warning. And again, it's not a malevolent spirit. It's like the shadow. It's kind of like, you know, Peter Pan, and he's got his shadow. So it's kind of like your shadow's coming in to kind of like forewarn you of something, or give you the insight of something. Like literally the tarot reading, what am I doing? I'm communing with spirits, right? Where are these messages come from? Especially when, like, you know, sometimes they can be so accurate. And like creepily accurate. Like I was going on about that court case. I explained it in the beginning of Taurus's reading. For the past like 2 weeks, I've been like, there's a major court case. I keep picking up on this court case that's going on, and I was getting like details of it, and there was nothing. There was like a blanket ban on the literal court case that was going on, and then yeah, the news broke, and I was like, there it is. It has been going on, but it was going on behind the scenes, right? We didn't know. There was nothing that explained that this was happening until the news broke. But I knew energetically, I was getting told by my guides, right, by my messages that it was going on. So when I do these tarot readings, I am working with the shadow people, right, the people who are on the other side of the veil, whatever that is. And I don't have answers, right? It's like the projections of this. But I need to shake it off, right? It makes, you know, I get physical symptoms. I can get sick when I'm doing this. So it's like I need to I need to shake it off. I need to kind of cleanse and purify my energy, and then like re-nourish as well. So it could even be just be talking about kind of like come back up to the surface, come back to the light, you know, step closer to, like, because the sun, to me, like the center ground is like the center of our solar system's the sun, right? It's kind of like the bright white light in the center of the sun. So I was imagining myself bathing in the middle of the sun again to kind of like heal. This is something I do through meditation, and again to kind of like push away the darkness. You know, it's like if I'm in the center of the sun, you know, the darkness can't penetrate that. So again, just healing, eating well, detoxing, nourishing your body, all good stuff, right? So I feel like that's the process that you're doing, Geminis. But in September, oh my god, like spend time with your animals, treat your body well, you know, go for a walk, touch grass. Let me go to, so that's kind of the end of your reading. Let me pull a song for you, and then I'm just going to go over some more of my notes. Like there's some little things that want to be mentioned, so if you want to kind of end the reading here, you can absolutely do so. I don't want to use Bixby voice, go away. But let's close out the reading, and then I'll just, you know, run through any intuitive messages that I've missed. So call your mum. And what else does Gemini need to hear right now? Let's redirect Gemini towards the light. What's going on? The party. Yeah, like the party, right? So it says, it's by Maisie Peters. I know I'm a piece of work, but I want to make it work with you. Do the dishes in Nebraska in the background. Are you listening? Are you sat down? Again, it's like you've got this real urge to kind of like create or be at home, right? Do the dishes, like for normality after perhaps going through something quite extreme. Are you listening? Are you sat down? Ankles in your lap, heart in your hands. How I got you, honey, even I don't understand. But I'm happy that we're here at the end of the year, under the winter skies. Oh, you and I are the last to leave the party, swinging under halogen lights. I'll take your chaos and your crooked in a heartbeat. Heartbeats louder, I'm going to make you proud of me. Oh, you and I are the last to leave the party. You're my favorite comic. I don't know if it's a Sagittarius for you. My Jupiter comet. That's been weird again. People ask how long have I loved you? No comment. Because probably since I was 7 and you were 8. We didn't know each other, but baby, it was fate. And now we're in a freak storm every other weekend. Your friends think I'm bad news, and part of you believes them. I understand. I know how lucky I am. Oh, it's cute. It's fucking cute, Geminis. Ordering some cheap red wine. You're the only apple in my eye. And my dress is from a funeral. Oh my God, the dress I was wearing on the night out, I wore to my dad's funeral. You mouthed, babe, you look beautiful. From across the room, grin in your eyes. And I tell the group, look, that's my guy. And I think we'll be all right. I do. Oh, it's so cute. It's so cute. Geminis, this is what I'm talking about. Like, you know, you might be the party animal, but you've got like such a big squishy heart. You're so cute. So okay, like you've got me in my feels. So what have I got? Canals, watertight, overflow. So as I was thinking about whether or not this dream was a message for you, my tarot reader was like, this is a warning, right? Foresight. This is a warning. So I was like, I do need to give you this kind of like flood warning, storm warning, especially if you live in an area that floods, especially if you live by a canal. It's like the canal could burst its banks, you know, if there's like an unexpected kind of freak storm. So just be ready. I don't know, get some sandbags, whatever you need to do. You know your area best. I did actually see this morning. So I've been getting these messages for 2 days. And I think I even mentioned it in one of my last readings, is like if you live near a canal, like watch out for flooding. And I've seen people talking about flooding on social media this morning, so I think there is an area of the world, I don't really pay attention to the news, but I think there could be somewhere where, you know, they are experiencing some floods. So again, if you're in one of those areas, if you've got family in those areas, just be careful. Just the timestamp was 1010345 then. No, was it? No, it can't have been. Oh my God, I'm having visions of the future, guys. Like, what is happening? So yeah, as I was thinking this, is this a message for you? And this tarot reader I was watching was like, this is a warning. My kid was in the shower and it's like the water, you know how water gets through like the tiniest crack, and it started coming through the ceiling downstairs. And I was like, oh, great. So I need to like make sure I'm kind of like making the shower area watertight, right? So it is a message for you. Again, sometimes things happen for me in my reality so that I can give you a message. Check your plumbing, prepare for water, right? Prepare for water damage, make things watertight. It could be like a situation as well, like make it watertight. Again, this sponge meditation, really do encourage you to do that. It worked really well for me. I'm going to make it part of my routine, I think. Just imagine yourself as a sponge, squeezing out the toxic water, taking in fresh, clean, healthy water as you breathe in and out. The colours orange and green could be significant. I was seeing a long skirt and a vest top. One was orange and one was green. I can't remember which way around now. I was seeing white trainers and a denim jacket. So long skirt, denim jacket, white trainers, orange and green. And then I was seeing tangerines. So they were like little cartoon tangerines on a green background. So again, orange and green could be relevant. I was getting burn out as two separate words. So it wasn't talking about burnout, although with that extreme, I do feel like you could be in need of a rest. So just be careful of burnout. But it was coming through with like literally like burn it out. So again, I had a bit of a cold, and I was being shown like how, you know, sometimes when you've got a bit of a virus, your temperature goes up, and it's because your body's trying to burn out the virus. So again, this kind of thing of like burn it out. And so I was seeing as well, like, you know, sometimes like fumigating, if you've got like bugs, you know, you fumigate, it's like you burn out the bugs. And I don't know if this is a literal thing. It kind of made sense when I was being shown it, but I don't know. So it's kind of like burning out the undergrowth of a forest to kind of like drive out either animals that shouldn't be there, which seems mean, but it's kind of what I was seeing, or like to burn out like Japanese knotweed or something like that. It's like it needs to be burnt out. So like the idea of like the extreme temperature, the heat, maybe you have had a virus, right? It's like, or, you know, when you sweat out the alcohol, like it could be that you've been very hot, but it's been a purge. It's been a purge, right? The extreme heat has been a purge. It's like it's for a purpose. So I did actually hear for you, like there's always a purpose. So there was a reason for this. I was getting rolled through. So it's almost like something that's hot and extreme, but it's rolling through because it's cleansing. Take it if it resonates. Again, I was getting like Noah's Ark and flooding. It's kind of like the flood rolls through, or the heat rolls through. It's kind of like a plague, right? It's kind of like but it's like God sent it to cleanse, which I'm going to be careful about, because I know that there's been some more like one is the, you know, the sea, the big pandemic is like there's warnings about a second one. So I want to be careful about how I phrase this, and I want to just be saying that I don't think anyone, like, I know people lose good people, right? So I'm not saying that, but it's coming through something like something rolling through as a kind of like purge energy to take out the bad. It's like taking out the toxins. Take that as it resonates. I'm not going to kind of contextualize that either further, because it's giving me a bit of a shifty energy that I'm not quite happy about. But again, this idea of like clearing and rolling through, it could be university, like university clearing, where like they you might be able to get on a course that you wouldn't normally have been able to get on. Yeah, exchanging toxic and stagnant for fresh and clean. Something about pure intentions, the eye of the needle and focus, like clear intentions, and like this focus on like a narrow window is important. Improve your air quality, you know, get rid of any toxins in the environment, open your windows or close your windows if there's something kind of, you know, like if there is like forest fires, you want to close your windows and not let that in. Use your air conditioner, whatever it is that you've got. If you've got one of those little like air purifiers, use that. I was getting music is the language of us all, which is a Cat Empire song. It'll be down in the description box below. It's like music is the language of us all. Music is the language of us all. And I was seeing this card that was like, it looked to me like it was a rainbow, but it was linear, and it looked to me like music keys, like a sheet of music, and then you've got this listening. So there could be messages in the music for you at this time. But he was coming through with this idea of immunity, like you having immunity. And I heard the word stellarized. So not sterilized, like you've been sterilized or you're sterilizing your environment, although that could definitely be something. But it's like you've been blessed by the stars, right? You've been stellarized, like stellar, like stars. You've been like, it's like you've been blessed, right? You have immunity because the stars have blessed you. You've been stellarized. Now that we've found love, what are we going to do with it? So that song, now that we've found love, what are we going to do with it? I feel like it's in a Ghostbusters movie. That could be relevant too. Montana. That was a middle of the night, 3:33 a.m. message that turned out to be referencing Montana. So Montana could be something for somebody. Yeah, that's everything. Again, this idea of like mothering yourself, like what would my mum say, right? What would mum think of this? It's kind of like being out at the club, being partying, and thinking, oh, what would my parents say if they could see me in this moment? And it being kind of like a reality check, like a little. It's like a moment where you have a mature thought and kind of like check yourself. So again, this idea of kind of like, what would they say? Like, just keep checking yourself and kind of like being like, is this how I want to? Is this who I want to be? All right, I hope that's helpful to you. That's everything. If you can't be good, be careful, Gemini. I love the idea of kind of like, you know, we're the last to leave the party and being like so in love and wrapped up in that. I think it's really gorgeous, but obviously make sure that you're cleansing anything toxic out of your environment or out of your physical body vehicle. And yeah, I hope that's helpful. I hope it makes sense. I hope it's beneficial to you. Take care of yourselves. I will see you again soon. Bye, friends. There's cat hair everywhere.